This is the lightest Jordan of all time. It's crazy, isn't it? What's up guys, Vinny here with Sneaker Tweaker and welcome back to another video. Today we have the performance review on what I'd like to say is my favorite performance Jordan in recent memory. A lot of people will say that, you know, the 34s, the 28s, 29s, the 35s even, those were all great shoes. But for me, these just hit different. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. As always, let's start off with the traction. Jordan 36 features a herringbone traction pattern. And this one is a solid rubber outsole. This is the Glory colorway. I believe it was one of the few colorways that came in a solid rubber outsole that were not an overseas model. A lot of the other colorways you could get in solid rubber form if you got the overseas model. The US models, a lot of them were translucent outsoles, and that doesn't mean that they didn't perform well. They just had translucent as opposed to solid rubber. Now, the traction in these performed amazingly for me. I played in these in the Lifetime gym whenever they had the dusty old courts that were constantly dirty. I mean, kids a lot of times went on the, I don't know if they still do, these courts are like super new when they redid it, and they also made like special kids sections, but they redid the whole floor and everything, and I haven't seen kids on there yet. I don't know that they still let them on there for like their kids club or whatever. However, before they used to have their kids club sessions and whatnot on the basketball floors, and they would drop candy and stuff all over the floor. And I mean, I've gotten some gunky stuff on the bottom of my shoes, but these things held up super nicely. They have a nice loud squeak if you do like that feedback. Traction, you do have some pretty deep grooves, and the herringbone, I mean, herringbone is tried and true. However, I wouldn't say that this is one of those shoes that I would take outdoors. One, the fact of the matter is these were pretty expensive shoes. I mean, you could still get them now on the resale market, a lot of times for under retail, but for what the shoe is and what you normally would spend on it, especially at that time when they first came out, it's just not one of those shoes that you necessarily want to take outdoors. I mean, if that's your only option, or if you do love hooping outdoors and that's where you normally play your pickup games, by all means do it. However, I would assume the traction on these would probably grind down pretty quickly. Like I said, this is a solid rubber outsole. You do have the herringbone going all the way through, and you do also have this Jumpman logo and like right around your strike zone. That portion isn't necessarily going to really give you any traction, and I mean, I would assume if you actually step on there, probably not going to grip the floor really well, but generally most people step right here and that holds up really well. So as far as dusty courts, these things are going to hold up really well, and if they're going to hold up on dusty courts, they're going to hold up really well on clean courts. On top of that, if you like the feedback, you're generally going to get them. Now, cushion. The cushion on this is one of my favorite aspects. I mean, the traction is amazing, but the cushion, you have full-length zoom strobel, you have another zoom unit in the forefoot, and then on top of that comes in a Phylon carrier. Now the Phylon in this, you start off a little bit stiff, but as you can see all the compression points here just on the midsole, it gets more plush the more you play in it. So I mean, I cannot overestimate how bouncy these shoes are, especially in that forefoot with that extra zoom unit. If you're a pretty springy player and you like going up for, you know, like dunks or blocks or whatever, or you love to cut to the basket and go, you're pretty much a slasher, this is an amazing shoe, because the combination of the traction and the cushion, you're going to be able to change direction, and the energy return you get is super nice. On top of that, the impact protection you get is super nice. With all that cushion on there, you still get pretty good court feel. I mean, I myself, I felt like I got good court feel. I don't know, some people, I don't know that everybody would say that, but for me, I got a good amount of court feel. I'm also around 190, 200 pounds. I go between that weight, between 190 and 200. So I guess I might put a little bit more pressure on these. However, I still think you get good court feel, you get great impact protection, and you get really good energy return. For the fit, these, I would say fit true to size, but I also would say they fit a little long. Now that worked out for me because they fit pretty snug and narrow, and I'm a normal footer to a slightly wide footer. So the way this worked out for me, I didn't really have any need to break it in, just the way it fit, because it fit a little long. So I wouldn't necessarily say, you know, you need to size down. Now, if you have a narrow foot, you might want to size down, but I would still say if you can. I don't know which stores and whatnot would have it to this day. There very well might be stores that still carry these, especially because they sell them on the resale market for under retail still. There might be stores that still have them sitting. If you can try them on, try them on. Like I said, they do fit a little long for me. However, that works out for me because, again, my foot is normal to slightly wide. Whenever I crank down on the laces and everything, I really didn't have any issues with my foot sliding forward or anything like that. It still worked perfectly fine for me. As for the materials and the support, as you guys can see, this uses a Leno weave upper. I mean, for as thin and as see-through as this is, it's pretty damn supportive. Like, I've put a good amount of time in these shoes and none of these have ripped off or ripped up or anything like that. I mean, you do see like some, I guess, fraying on the upper here, but it's not like anything came apart. You do also have some synthetic leather on the tongue, and with that, I mean, I could crank down on the laces and I don't really get too much lace pressure. This part is a little annoying on the tongue though. Whenever you do want to tighten up the laces, it's kind of tricky just to do that part, and then once you get to the top eyelet and whatnot, I guess it's kind of fine. But when you're doing this part right here, I mean, this is a callback to the Jordan 6s. It's not necessarily going to make it as easy for you to crank down on laces, but it's not impossible. You can still do it. And then you also have this, I like to call this a spoiler. I'm pretty sure it pretty much is a spoiler right here, and then you do have the pull tab. This shoe overall, it's just super light, super minimal. You do get a lot of breathability, and because it's see-through, I mean, it's pretty much see-through, you can show off your sock game. So if you do like wearing crazy socks or some cool socks, you're gonna be able to see it through this shoe. I wouldn't say wear anything that's too crazy because everyone can see it. You do also have the Eclipse plate, which is pretty much used in the Jordan 34s and the 35s. This one is a little bit more of a, I would say, low profile iteration of it. It's not as crazy as the 34s or the 35s. The 35s are the craziest. This one I would say is more of a smoother look to it and a smoother feel. I guess we can go with the materials on this, or I can kind of go back and talk about it in the cushion. Because it is a double stack zoom unit, essentially in the forefoot, you do have the forefoot kind of protruding. Now, some people say they had stability issues with that. For me, I didn't. I guess like putting the amount of weight that I put on it or the pressure, it really didn't give me any issues. I wasn't tipping, and even with this, I wouldn't say this has as wide of a base as potentially like the 34s or the 35s, but I felt pretty stable. I didn't have any issues rolling my ankle. I would say with everything and with how this shoe is built, it performed really well. All aspects, I mean, I don't really have anything to complain about. I love the 34s, I love the 35s. I mean, I'll release performance reviews on those as well, but the 36s for me, and in recent memory, are my favorite shoe, just because it has literally everything I could ask for in a basketball shoe. It has great traction, it has great cushion, it's got supportive materials. I mean, with how thin it is, like I said, the weight doesn't necessarily matter to me too much, but with how thin it is, it makes it pretty breathable for my feet, so my feet aren't just overheating. That sometimes bothers me. I really honestly don't notice it until after I stop playing, and then you can actually, the adrenaline runs out and you can feel the heat. But overall, everything is super nice about it. Only thing is, I mean, the materials do look cheap, and the price point is up there because it is a Jordan brand shoe. Now for the weight, like I said, this is the lightest weighing Jordan ever with the Leno weave upper. This one for a size 9 weighs in at 13.5 ounces, which for me, I would say that's pretty average for a size 9 shoe. A lot of people do care about weight, and for, I guess, putting into perspective, on all the shoes I wear, this is average. It's not lightweight, it's not heavy, it's just right in the middle. Again, for me, the weight doesn't really matter, so this was a great performing shoe, but if you do care about the weight, it's average. As for the retail cost, these did cost $185. Now you do have the low models, which were $175, and then some colorways, depending on if they were like special edition or not. It could have been low, it could have been high. I think the EYBL, I do have the EYBL one as well, and that one, I think, even though it was a low, it retailed in at like $195. Again, it's an expensive shoe, so if you are wanting to take it outdoors, and just the materials that are on here, I mean, some people would look at the materials and the cost or the price and not give it the time of day, but overall, it's an amazing performing shoe, and if you can get it for under retail, even better. As for the box on the Jordan 36s, they do come in this pretty, I guess, premium box. It does have a Velcro opening, and I would say Jordan brand has done a pretty good job as far as presentation of their shoes. The last few models, the 38 is the only one that I've had in recent memory that they've pretty much went the whole Nike move to zero. Every one of their other boxes, including the one for the 36, has been pretty premium. If you've played in the Jordan 36 or the 34 or the 35, I guess those are going to be the three that are most similar to each other. Let us know your experience down below. If there are any other shoes you guys would like us to review, again, comment down below. For more content like this, please like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!